Welcome to Discovery Watch with John Kaiser.
I'm your host, Jim Goddard. Welcome back to the show, John.
Jim, always good to be on the show.
John, Pacific Empire Minerals has more than tripled since you introduced the Junior to Discovery Watch. Do they have a discovery?
Jim, they do not yet have a discovery, but it's certainly a sign that we are in an awakening bull market, that we are seeing anticipation being built into a junior stock price. What Pacific Empire has accomplished since we introduced the company and its RC rig prospecting with our RC rig drill strategy for British Columbia is that they raised about $1 million through a private placement of 16 million units at 5 cents with a half warrant at 10 cents. That boosts the warrant pile up to 44 million warrants exercisable between 10 cents and 30 cents, starting to expire early next year with the more expensive ones. But all this new paper was taken down by the same core group of backers, which includes a Dutch precious metals fund, Plethora, Haywood's Dave Elliott and his network, and Rick Rule and his network. So these are all backers of what is supposed to be a traditional prospect generator farm-out company, except with a twist in that they use an RC rig to drill very cheap little 10-hole programs in overburden covered areas. Now, they started drilling this month on the World Stock Project, which we talked about last time, and that's a copper play in sort of more in southern part of British Columbia. They'll drill 10 holes there, fairly shallow hole. They're looking to confirm that under the overburden associated with this outcropping skarn, copper skarn that others drilled in the past but couldn't really make anything big out of. They're trying to demonstrate that there's a copper porphyry footprint underneath the overburden. And they'll know from the RC chips pretty quickly whether this is just the, small, inconsequential showing that was historically looked at, or whether there's something substantial that needs to be followed up. So that program will be done by the end of this month, and assays will be probably available sort of mid to late September. But then their rig goes on to the Weed-On project, which is more in central British Columbia. And this is a former tech play where they generated an IP anomaly that they never got around to drilling and eventually dropped the project. So again, this is a straightforward 10 shallow holes to go through the overburden and test the bedrock to see if they have a copper system in that area. And that will wrap up by the end of September with assays trickling in late October. So we won't really know if these two projects have delivered a discovery until some time from now. And these are projects which you do not work between October and May. So if there is anything interesting there, they won't go back to that until June, July of next year. But what the market is really warming up to is a deviation from their normal prospect generator farm-out strategy, which is the Jeanne Marie project, which they optioned earlier this year on fairly stiff terms. So this is a violation of the principle that you go and stake stuff or option on super cheap terms, projects that don't have any real costs, and any money that you spend, that's optional, and you farm them out and have others spend money. This requires them to spend some money, and there's been 77 holes drilled into it, so it's not really it's not a brand new project. It would seem to have been killed, but it's been a variety of groups that have tackled it in the past. These guys are now going in there with a very coherent rethink, and they're hoping to get a permit for about 100 holes by the end of September. Now, this project is interesting because it's in the middle of a winter logging area. There's a logging camp that's open in the winter where they've secured permission to be able to stage out of. So if they start delivering the goods for the Jeanne Marie copper gold project, they will be able to keep drilling all the way through winter, excluding the Christmas breaks. So that's the one where, and they also just reported that they did some trenching up there and found some high-grade gold mineralization at surface. And this project has generally been looked at as a copper moly system with three main zones, A, B, and C. But there's also appears to be a later gold overprint, so it's a multi-phased system. They're doing a complete rethink of it, and they will, in October, when they get the permit, start with about 30 of their RC rig program, drill holes in the northern part of the project, in the A-zone area, where they want to get a better understanding of what's going on. But the sexier part will be when they tackle the area between the A and B zones. That's where they've observed some mineralized breccia at surface, and the breccia would be an explosive body that exploded from a deeper porphyry system. So this is the, I guess, discovery that's in the process of being re-understood, rethought, and that, I think, is what's driving the market up. If World Stock don't deliver a surprise, well, that will be a bonus, but the stock is now up at 19-20 cents in anticipation of the bigger Jean Marie program, on which it will be working for, a fair amount of time.
We'll have more with John Kaiser right after this.
Media recognition from Bloomberg, Reuters, Recycling Trade Publications. Patented process for 100% recovery of critical metals, including cobalt, lithium, nickel, manganese, aluminum. American Manganese is focused on recycling lithium-ion batteries for electric vehicles. American Manganese trades on the TSX Venture, AMY, the US, AMYZF, and Frankfurt 2AM. For more information, visit AmericanManganeseInc.com or phone me, Larry Ray, at 778-574-4444.
Aben Resources Limited is a gold exploration company with significant projects in British Columbia and the Yukon, trading on the TSX Venture Exchange, symbol ABN, and the OTCQB, symbol ABNAF. Surrounded by world-class gold deposits and mines, Aben's 23,000 hectares Forest Kerr Gold Project is located in the heart of the Golden Triangle in northwestern BC. For more information, visit us at abenresources.com.
Welcome back. We're speaking with John Kaiser. John, Wolfden Resources has inched up higher even though it's not a gold stock. What's going on there?
Well, the interesting thing, Wolfden did this on Tuesday, the day that gold was slammed down overnight, over $100, and all the gold stocks, even Barrick was down after reporting the day before, reporting earnings that were double what the analysts had expected. And this was from a quarter, the second quarter, which gold was never above $1,700, and still Barrick outperformed everybody's expectations. And right now, we have since then gold's been above $1,700 in, 2070 even. So the earnings are going to be even better for the third quarter, and yet Barrick did nothing on the day this news came out, and then got slammed $3 on Tuesday when gold went down. Even though gold going down to 1930 or so is still well above what all its earnings was based on in the prior quarter. So that's a sign that this market still does not believe that the higher gold price is here to stay. I've argued that 2000 is going to be the new base for gold. That, of course, got a little bit of a setback earlier this week when it got knocked back below 2000. But the reasons for gold repricing into the 2000 to 3000 range, those have not changed. Now, Wolfden's project in Maine, Picket Mountain, it's a polymetallic play, a high-grade $450 to $500 per ton rock play with zinc, copper, lead, gold, silver in it. And they are right now in the midst of a 15-hole program. And they put out a news release where they said, okay, we've completed 5 holes. They didn't talk about the first one, which was testing an offset target that could have been something big. But it appears that it turned out that the gravity high was not caused by massive sulfides, and the original EM conductor was indeed just caused by graphite in the sediment. So that first target where we hope to get a new lens, that appears to have been a bust. The other holes so far have been drilled in the east and west lens, and here they're testing a theory about folds within the system, which, based on the modeling that they did before that did not recognize these folds, would have missed tonnage, and they are seeing these folds confirmed. They have the potential to boost this resource to maybe 10 to 30%, but we need to see assays to see if the grade is also there, and you can't quite tell by just looking at the visuals. Hole 6 is now underway. That's a potentially significant target. That's one where we can hold our breath that they will discover a new lens with volume potential of a couple of million tons. Currently, the resource stands about 5 million tons. The goal is to get this up to 10 million tons through discovering new so that it can support a 2,000 ton per day underground mining operation, and that would make the stock have considerable upside, whereas the current scenario, just mining what they have, doesn't really offer a huge amount of upside. And then the rig will move on and start testing more peripheral targets that go back to the footwall zone, and where the drillers had trouble last year getting the holes to the depth. The interval in the footwall zone is narrower than in the east and west lens, but they've only pierced a part of it, so we'll see if there is something significant there. And then they'll test deepen that hole, the last hole of the season that was pulled because of drilling program problems. That was in the stringer mineralization that would have been part of the feeder system of the massive sulfide pancake that formed on the ocean floor. So that'll be kind of a high stakes hole to see when they punch that through the target to see if there's a meaningful lens there. And then they'll go test a gravity target to the north where it's not really associated with any conductors. The conductors A, B, C, and D that they had outlined, which are in areas where there is no real geochemical support because the overburden is too thick, they apparently will not touch those this season. And that surprised me because that's where I hope to see the biggest discovery surprises this season. But buried inside this news release was talk about the crew being busy within that 30-kilometer stretch in Maine that they flew with the geophysical survey last year. And apparently this survey outlined a number of significant EM conductors that have never been drilled. When Getty had this regional play back in the early 80s, they did have geophysical targets, and they drilled a few of them, did get some sort of mineralization, but nothing comparable to the east-west lens discovery, and so they focused all their attention on that and never really followed up. And Wolfton has tracked down the locations of those regional holes, and none of them were into these new targets that they've generated. And the news release says that we plan to be drilling some of these targets, one of which has a conductor with a 1,200-meter strike. So that's a fairly significant target for them to be testing. But then you scratch your head and say, but Pickett Mountain's only this sort of 5 by 4 kilometer block in the middle of this whole area. How can they be drilling this very, outside the land that they own? And apparently what they have been doing is quietly negotiating with the landholders, which are all private parties. They own the surface rights and the mineral rights in this area. And they've been doing deals, and they don't really want to make any noise, and they won't be very thankful that I'm blabbing about this on Discovery Watch, but they're still consolidating some holes within this land package. But the stock is moving up because people have read between the lines and realized this is going to go from this east-west centered Pickett Mountain story, where they're hoping to find a few more lenses in the general vicinity, to a district-scale play that's going to be sort of 10 kilometers by 30 kilometers, covering prospective rocks that have never really been looked at for on a systematic modern scale. And they're using more modern geophysical technology, so they're seeing targets that Getty probably didn't see back in the 80s. And this stock is starting to move up because the market now knows this is going to become a big play. When this program is finished in late September, they'll hopefully have everything locked up and disclosed and show us where exactly the land is and where their targets are. And that's when we'll see this Wolfton discovery story really get some legs.
We'll have more with John Kaiser right after this.
Engineer Gold Mines is focused on the exploration and development of the historic high-grade Engineer Gold Mine situated 32 kilometers southwest of Atlin, British Columbia. Engineer Gold Mines is fully permitted for surface and underground exploration with the drill program now underway. Engineer Gold Mines Limited trades on the TSX Venture Exchange, symbol EAU. For more information, please visit us at engineergoldmines.com.
Value from success. Growth in discovery. Golden Arrow Resources is a well-funded gold-copper exploration company with proven management and prospective properties in Chile, Argentina, and Paraguay. Golden Arrow trades on the Toronto Venture Exchange, symbol GRG, on Frankfurt, symbol G6A, and the OTCQB, symbol GARWF. For more information, visit us at goldenarrowresources.com or call Sean at 778-686-0135.
Welcome back. We're chatting with John Kaiser. John, Zephyr Minerals has been volatile this week as if it can't make up its mind whether it wants to climb for the sky or dive for the ground. What's causing this turbulence?
Well, Jim, we are probably one weekend away from the first hole hitting a target depth of about 1,500 to 2,000 feet, depending on where the target ends up being, whether it's dipping away from the drill direction or toward it. That's 400 to 600 meters vertical depth, and it's the bulge, in the 3D modeling, it's where the magnetic anomaly is biggest. If there is a Broken Hill type system similar in scale to Cannington, this drill will go right into it, especially if the geophysics is correctly modeling the location of this higher magneticism, which would be due to the pyrrhotite that's in these systems. Now, what we're after is high-grade lead and zinc with a substantial silver credit. In fact, Cannington itself is really a silver-lead-zinc mine. It has that much silver, 500 grams per ton, which is, almost 15 to 20 ounces per ton. And with silver at the $25 to $30 range now, that is a very high rock value, easy to support an underground mine. And the scale of this target, it's in that 30 to 50 million ton range. So everybody's now wondering, they'll reach target depth about, probably Saturday. The market will be closed, and we'll find out on Monday whether we've gotten rich, because this sort of target, if they hit the right width with the visuals in it, that says, yes, this is a Cannington clone candidate. A Cannington clone would be worth over $7 billion. This would be the equivalent of drilling that first hole, 100-meter hole, into the Voisey's Bay ovoid, where everybody understood the geological context of a magmatic segregation type body that accumulated at the base of a magma chamber, and could instantly do the math and say, wow. And that got bought out for $4 billion by Inco in 1996, and it helped stimulate a huge discovery market. Zephyr's El Plomo project in Colorado is of this nature. So everybody's really nervous. They feel like a goalkeeper facing the last penalty kick, which will decide who wins the World Cup. Does the goalkeeper dive left or right? Doesn't know what to do. It's going to be a guess. Either, get scored against, or he stops the ball. And that's why this stock has become quite volatile. The company helped make it worse, because in the past 20 days, Zephyr has managed to close above 70 cents, and that triggered early acceleration of a 35-cent warrant. The expiry date is now September 11th, rather than 18 months from February, when they did the 10 million unit financing at 21 cents. This private placement has been free trading for about a month and a half, so the market's done a pretty good job of digesting all the paper from the Clipper and Flippers. But now what Zephyr's doing is saying, okay, no free lunch for any of these Clippers. You're going to have to exercise your 35-cent warrant, and you're not going to be able to just have dumped your long position and have this free ride on the outcome of this program. It would raise almost $1.8 million, which would help them if this does turn out to be a bust. They would be able to keep working on the gold potential of the Dawson Green Mountain area. And of course, if they have a win, well, the stock will end up in double digits, and it won't have been necessary to get those warrants exercised. But that is creating some turbulence. The best outcome, of course, is the most unlikely outcome. The worst outcome is that there's nothing there. It's actually been faulted off, and the geophysics is just a shadow. It's not real. Another possibility that we're not very looking forward to is that there's a big pyrotype blob there that explains the magnetic anomaly, but the zinc-lead mineralization is very feeble. It's not massive, so it's not going to run any meaningful grade. That would be amongst the worst-case outcomes. If it's been faulted off for some reason, that still leaves hope for going shallower and finding where exactly that fault would be. And, near surface, we know the system's there. It was intersected decades ago by groups that did not understand that this was a Broken Hill type context, who thought it was just some high-grade skinny zinc-lead-silver vein. So they would drill shallower holes to follow it downwards and see what you have there. In the worst-case scenario, we may have a high-grade silver discovery that's worth, maybe only $500 million rather than $7 billion. But the outcome that I'm hoping to see, which is a reasonable one to see, is that they do get zinc-lead mineralization at that depth, and it does not need to be the massive type that tells you're in the guts of the system, but it's enough to confirm that we are dealing with a Broken Hill system. We can use this to vector in on where the next holes will be. The stock would go up, but it wouldn't rocket to $10 and higher if it had the real McCoy. This would be the opportunity to come in, and half my subscribers are long, biting their nails. The other half are sitting on the sidelines, hoping that we get something that isn't a no-brainer discovery, but clearly shows the path that it's only a matter of time before additional holes show where the guts of a major system is. And they're expecting next week to buy this at a higher price if such an outcome is what Zephyr ends up revealing. And that, of course, depends on them not having any drill problems like the drill getting stuck before target depth.
John, thank you so much for the update.
You're welcome, Jim.
We've been speaking with John Kaiser, his website, kaiserresearch.com. I'm Jim Goddard.
Comments made on Discovery Watch are an expression of opinion only and should not be construed in any manner whatsoever as recommendations to buy or sell any financial instrument at any time. Archived online at HowStreet.com. Discovery Watch is a production of How Street Media Incorporated.